Hey there, my writing friends. So, today we're going to talk about what to do when you're feeling stuck in your own head and the writing is feeling really hard. Um, Being in your head is not a bad thing if your head is giving you lots of great ideas, but feeling stuck in your own head can really suck and it can make the writing just go haltingly if it goes at all. So, if you are here watching live, say hello. Let me know you can see me and hear me as always. And if you are watching the replay, please do play along and let's dive in. So, first thing, let's just take a breath. This is one of the quickest, easiest ways to get out of your own head is to just breathe. And if you're in a place where you can also plant your feet on the ground or the floor or whatever surface is there, and just get a little bit more straightness in your spine. This is super helpful. And let's just take a moment and we'll breathe. What you're doing is just gaining a little bit of perspective. So here's the dealio. You've got a really important message to share, whether that's a message that you're putting into a book or you're writing content for your business because you help people in big magical ways and they need to know about it so they can work with you. Whatever you're writing, you have got a really big mission around it. I know this because you're here. If you didn't have a big mission, you would settle for, like uh, the really um, unsold, um, basic kind of writing that's out there that might get people to buy something out of fear. You're not about that. So, so I know that when you sit down to write, you've got some pretty big things pressing on your brain. Like, we got to get out, we got to get this message out. You're working on something that's really important to you. And that creates this feeling of overthinking and putting a lot of pressure on yourself. So when you're breathing, you're just taking a moment to resettle into your body, to get out of that space of feeling like it's all going to get done right now. Some other techniques that are super helpful if breathing isn't enough, if you're like, Megan, I breathed and it didn't do squat, go a little bit deeper. Before you get into writing, stand up, move, walk away from your computer, walk away from your notebook, go for a walk around your house if that's what's available to you. Shake your body. Dance, move the energy through. And that feeling that it's all stuck in your head is going to feel different when you allow that energy to dissipate some out of your head and get into the rest of your body. Okay, so that's, like basic first aid, first things first. Um, Literally getting the energy out of your head where it's stuck and letting it integrate through the rest of your body. So, give me some feedback on that. Is there anything resonating? Have you tried those techniques before? Can you see yourself trying them? Share. Maybe you've got a favorite technique for getting more embodied. What's a really handy trick is to light a candle or turn on a diffuser, or even if you've got some essential oils, just do a little pass underneath your nosy nose if you don't have a diffuser, because you are again opening up your senses and getting more grounded in your body. Okay, so make sure you do something to just get into your body a little bit more. Then let's talk about how you can take the pressure off of, I've got this really big message and people really need to know it, so I've got to think so hard. If you think so hard, it's like your brain squeezes the ideas until um, they're lifeless and you can't do anything with them. What I would really invite you to do is to stop focusing on um, the how do I want to say this? Because it's not that I want you to not think about your purpose, because tapping into your big why can sometimes be very helpful. But what I want you to release and let go of is the specific outcome you're hoping for. Yeah, that's how I want to say it. So imagine this scenario. You are wanting to get some more people into your coaching program, and you're really focused on that. And then when you go to write, you start writing and you're like, oh, but people aren't going to like that, and that's not going to get them into my coaching program. And so you start over and you're like, oh, but they won't like this and they won't like this. And that focus on the outcome can totally kill any creativity around what you might write that would be really inviting and would get people to go like, oh, that sounds like a really cool coaching program, I want to check that out. So as much as you can, put the outcome aside. Just let your focus come back to your core message and go like, okay, yeah, that's my purpose. That's great to know. It helps inform what kind of content I'm going to be sharing and creating. But really, my job right now is to be in my flow and in the moment. Okay, so how do you do that? It's super simple, y'all. It's super, super simple. Instead of being focused on the outcome, you need to reconnect with the people you're writing for. You need to be totally all in on that connection. Can you feel that different energy? Does that feel different for you if you think about connecting to the people you want to connect with? Right? Like if you want people to come into your program, if you want to be creating that content that's making them like, oh my God, I need this. What you really want to be doing is connecting with them, helping them feel seen and feel heard so that they do feel sold on whatever amazing magic you have to offer them. And that doesn't come from your inward focus or your brain's focus or your brain's obsession really with like, I gotta do this, I gotta achieve this outcome, I gotta make this happen. Your job is to connect with people and to invite them. There are a lot of different ways you can do this. If you haven't already gotten my free 5-day mini course, Content That Connects, I highly recommend you do that because I take you through step by step a way to connect with your audience. That's also really simple. It's something that's just going to feel so intuitive when you do that. So if you haven't already been through that mini course, do yourself a favor and just go grab it. You can find it at meganbarnhart.com/connect. But let's just talk about some ways to connect with your people. One really powerful, important way to connect with people is to like think what they are currently struggling with. Like what's on their minds right now that they're like, oh, this is such a pain for me. Maybe it is a chronic pain, or maybe it is an acute pain, like something going on where they're like, oh, this is awful, I can't take it anymore. And connect and empathize about that point. You know, what's going on for people that is really not working, that they would love to have some recognition for. Oh my gosh, I have to share this story with you. So a client recently shared with me that she was working with one of her clients, and that person said, oh my God, that thing you just said to me, nobody's told me that before. My whole life, I thought it was my fault that I couldn't get this specific result. And what you just said to me is that it's not my fault because there's this missing piece of information that I didn't have. And that makes me super emotional because that's the whole point, right? That's why we're doing the work that we're doing, is so that we can help people transform. And often we're doing that by relieving the pressure for them around feeling that they have to be perfect or that they have to know everything. And then, so what I said to her was like, oh, that's so amazing. Write a piece of content that tells everybody that it's not their fault and this is what they need to know, that this is what the missing piece is. Like, create that as content, because that's clearly a place where your audience has a hurt, right? They've got a hurt there, and you have something that could give them this relief, this balm. It's not even telling them how to do something differently. It's simply saying, if you have struggled with this, it is not your fault. Here is the disconnect. Here is like the information you probably got because this is the way it's normally done. Here is the information that will empower you to move forward in a different way. If you created content like that, you would save the world. I'm only exaggerating a little bit. I'm only exaggerating a little bit. So that's one way you can get out of your head, is just by connecting really deeply. And guess where you are when you're writing content like that? You are here, my friend. You are right in your heart. Now, there's nothing wrong with your mind. Your mind is so beautiful. And I don't in any way view this as like a dichotomy and it's like brain versus heart in a death battle, Sunday, 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 right? This is not where we're going with it. But this is about knowing what is the tool that is going to help me, right? And when you're feeling stuck in your head, you have the evidence you need that that is not the right tool that's helping you right now. Plain and simple, right? This is just about what's effective. So, I talked first about dropping into your body through breathing and dancing and shaking. And then, talking about like getting into somebody else's head instead of your own head. And you can do that through your heart. If you're trained as a coach or a healer, or if you are naturally an empath or somebody who's very intuitive, your heart is trying to give you these messages all of the damn time. Like, you are getting feelings in your body, you are getting sensations, you are getting things where you're like, this popped into my mind. I have no clue why. It's not about me. It's because you're picking up on what other people need. And you can use this as a superpower in your marketing. Drop down into your heart and write those messages. Okay, so let me give you one more tip around, practically speaking, how can you get out of being stuck in your own head? So instead, you can get into your heart, which allows you to get into other people's heads and find exactly what they really need to hear that would give them that feeling of like, oh, holy hell, why didn't somebody tell me that before, right? And creating that trust, also creating that that leadership, right? Where you're showing up as the person who's in leadership energy, saying like, hey, I can tell you what's going to help you. Okay, so another way you can, another practical strategy for getting unstuck from your own head is to really tap into your authentic voice. And it's wild that we have to practice doing this. It's absolutely wild that we have to practice being our authentic selves. But we do, because we have been told at so many times in our professional journey, in our personal journey, we've been told so many times, directly or indirectly, that who we are is not going to cut it. Who we are really is not going to cut it. We've been told this directly, maybe by somebody who was trying to help and it just wasn't helpful. Maybe you've received guidance or help from a coach or, a marketing specialist who was like, yeah, but, you gotta change that a bit because what's really going to, work is this thing over here. So you gotta change what you're doing a little bit. Or you may have been told indirectly, just any feedback you got on your writing or in things you said, where people went, oh, you can't talk about that, or oh, that's that's not something anybody wants to talk about, or even just comments on your grammar or spelling, things that we translate to being about our self-expression. They're sometimes really surface level. Sometimes they're really surface level. A lot of people have writing trauma or self-expression trauma that is around something that seems like it should be very surface level. Like, oh, you kind of have a funny singing voice, or, you don't use commas the right way. That can get us at the deepest level. So if you are like, gosh, I'm not even sure what my authentic voice is, don't sweat it. You're having the experience so many people are, because so many of us are told, like, again, either directly or indirectly, that thing that you really are, yeah, people don't get it. It's too weird, it's too silly, it's too goofy, maybe it's too serious, right? It's too whatever, or it's not enough. It's like it's a message. It's insane making because it really comes in so many different forms. There's so many different ways we get the message that we're not up to snuff. And there's something called confirmation bias that you may have heard of, which is this idea that once we already believe something, then we look for confirmation of that thing in the world. So once we already have that belief that, my voice is weird, I'm weird, I shouldn't just be who I am because there's something weird about that, then we look for evidence that confirms that and we disregard evidence that might challenge that. So it means every day when we're in the world, every time we're showing up on social media, every time we're having conversations with people, when something happens, we are looking for confirmation of, oh, yeah, right. Oh, she said that because I just really am such a weirdo. Or, oh gosh, this person didn't buy from me because I really just, am too much. My energy is too big. Meanwhile, we disregard anything that might support, or excuse me, anything that might challenge that belief. So that was a long side note. That was a long tangent around why it is that we have to practice being our authentic selves, and isn't that weird that we do? But yeah, we do, and it's okay. And you just got to build that muscle, and you get really strong, and then you'll be an authentic self bodybuilder, and you'll win all the competitions. And the competitions are just you showing up authentically and feeling in your power and feeling in your authority. Okay, so Megan, stop rambling. How can I practice this? Practice this by having real conversations with people. And we're in this space where you can do this every day really easily. Hop onto Facebook, get into a group, comment on somebody's post as your genuine self. In my first tip, I was talking about separating from the outcome you want. This is a really important thing to do for this activity too. Don't go in and comment on what somebody's saying with the hope like, well, maybe she's going to introduce me to an influencer. Just practice showing up and being your beautiful self. It's something that we all need practice in. It's something that is going to build your muscle of authenticity. And at the same time, of course, it also is creating more connection with other people. And you might be surprised at what you learn about your authentic self when you give this a go. So I mentioned before that I have this free mini course, Content That Connects, and it's 5 days, and you get a new email each day with a really simple, straightforward task you can take care of in just a couple of minutes. And that course also has some more insights and some activities you can do around this piece of finding your authentic voice. So if you'd like a little bit of accountability on that, definitely grab that free mini course. It's at meganbarnhart.com/connect. And you'll get like some exact steps you can take to practice this. Ultimately, feeling stuck in your own head is a really good indicator that something you're doing isn't working for you. Remember, there is no right way to write. There's only the way that is right for you. So the whole reason we're talking about this again is not because there's anything wrong with your head. Like, there's so many beautiful, wonderful ideas. I just want to pet my brain. I love you, brain. But if I'm in a place where I'm like, oh gosh, I'm stuck in my head, all that means is, oh, this is not the tool that's going to help me do that job, right? Hammer's awesome. Not for unscrewing the fixture on the light, right? Ooh, I'm gonna just break the whole thing, right? Hammering in the nail, perfect, love it. So use the tool that's going to help you do the job. When you have that feeling, I'm stuck in my own head, number one, drop into your body. Number two, figure out how you can connect with your audience instead of your own desired outcome. And number three, practice using your authentic voice so that you get out of that space of like, I have to put on a different persona. I have to be somebody else in order to write. No, you don't. You just need to be you. And at the same time, I totally understand if you're having that feeling of I have to be somebody else. It's totally natural because that idea is just a weird thing that our culture has adopted and has decided is okay. And it's not okay. You get to be you. You are awesome. Okay, this is just coming to me right now. Because I'm talking about how awesome you are, will you please do me a favor? In the comment of this video, will you please type something about you that is really, really kick ass. That might be a skill you have. That might be a superpower you have. That might be something you've done this week or done anytime in your life. But please, will you drop in the comments something about you that is awesome so we can all celebrate it? Okay. Leave your questions, leave your comments. Let me know what topics you would like me to cover. I'm going live now every other week. So lots of space, lots of room for me to cover the topics that are most important for you when it comes to writing and writing in flow, getting your bold message out there. And if you're needing some more support right now, send me a private message. I do have a couple of spots on my calendar open right now to help you find your wise writer within so that you get to do all these things really easily and way faster with my one-on-one support. So would love to hear from you if you're ready for that support. And I can't wait to read in the comments what is awesome about you. All right, take care. And as always, I wish you happy writing.